finally happened. After years of mocking, stealing, and manipulating the global economy, China is officially on its knees. That's right, guys. The CCP is panicking, and the proof, it's undeniable. I mean, they're now publicly begging President Trump to end his brutal tariffs. But here's the twist. President Trump, he's not even answering the phone. So this is the moment that they never thought would come. 130 nations. Yes, you heard that right, guys. 130 nations have now rushed to the negotiating table, desperate to avoid the same fate that China is facing. And in Beijing, let's just say the silence from Washington is louder than bombs. So, folks, what you're about to hear is the most savage trade power play in modern history. And it's not just about the tariffs. I mean, we're talking about America rising again. We're talking about factories coming home, China losing its grip on the Panama Canal, and President Trump literally cutting the puppet strings of the global elite. And get this, guys, we've got the receipts. We're going to hear from Peter Navarro, UAW's top brass, and even President Trump's administration's secret plan to turn Panama into an anti-CCP fortress. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a trade war. It's economic warfare, and we're winning. Now, if you guys appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate the support. Seriously, guys. So let's go deeper. Let's go deeper into what's happening right now, April 15th, 2025. By the way, if you haven't paid your taxes, go ahead and get your taxes paid because they're due today. Anyway, this is a full-blown collapse of China's economic stronghold, and it's all because President Trump called their bluff. After years, decades of watching China push us around, they're finally up against the ropes. Factories are slowing down, investors are fleeing, their economy, which once looked invincible, they're now staggering under the weight of President Trump's tariffs. And instead of lashing out, well, they're waving the white flag. That's right, guys. They're waving the white flag. Just yesterday, China did something that they've never done before. They publicly asked Trump to cancel all tariffs, all of them. Not negotiate, not lower, cancel. That's how desperate they've become. And what did Trump do? He just ignored them. He didn't even acknowledge the request. That is what power looks like when it's finally back in American hands. Now, no more appeasement, no more weakness, just results. Isn't that wonderful? But let's go ahead and rewind just for a second here, because this wasn't random. This was strategy, brutal, beautiful strategy, guys. So Peter Navarro, President Trump's director of trade and manufacturing policy, he laid it out very clear with crystal clarity. For decades, the global economy has been rigged against America. And let me break it down for you guys. Other countries, they go ahead and slapped heavy tariff. Other countries slapped heavy tariffs on our goods. Meanwhile, we let their junk roll off into our American markets for free. They cheat with non-tariff barriers, currency manipulation, VAT taxes, illegal subsidies, dumping products at below market prices just to destroy our industries. Japan has technical barriers to block American cars from even entering their market. Europe and Australia literally ban American pork through phony regulations. The result? America has been bleeding money, $1.2 trillion per year, every year. And in total, Peter Navarro says that we've lost like $18 trillion in wealth since we started running trade deficits. That's not just numbers, guys. That's the cost of closed factories. That's the broken towns. I'm sure some of you guys have driven through some of these broken down towns and you're like, how did things get so dilapidated? I've seen it in parts of driving through Alabama and many southern states, but I'm sure you've seen it in other places. That's the missing middle class here, guys. And you know what? I'm talking about nobody had the spine to stop this thing until Trump came along. He said, enough, guys. We're charging them what they've been charging us. You want to play games? We're going to go ahead and flip the board on you. And it was called crazy. They said it was dangerous. Some people called it racist, which I don't even understand how they call that racist, but whatever. The media trashed it. The globalists, they sneered. And now those same countries, they came crawling back one by one, hat in hand. Now, of course, I need to show you guys how over 130 countries, yes, 130 countries have begged President Trump's administration for a deal. Now, I'm going to name names. I'm also going to explain the strategy and how it's working. And I'm going to show you that this isn't just about tariffs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about economic sovereignty. Now, before we go there, if you've had enough of being financially manipulated like America was, if you're tired of scrambling while they print money and call it policy, you need to take action, folks. I'm just saying. So, and for those of you guys just now joining the live, appreciate you guys joining us. Please take a second, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So what happens when the world's biggest abusers of American trade finally get hit in the face with their own medicine? They fold fast. What does Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan till you get hit in the face, right? So President Trump, he rolled out a very simple but devastatingly effective plan. We're going to change. We're going to charge them what they've been charging us. I think it's pretty simple, right? It's just fair. No more lopsided deals. No more sweetheart exemptions. This is called reciprocal tariffs. And it's the first time America has stood up and said, hey, look, we're done being the world's doormat. And I think he's putting it very nicely there. And what happened? Well, I think it's pretty clear what happened. Over 130 countries, yes, 130 countries suddenly picked up the phone and said, hey, can I speak to Mr. President Trump, please? Yeah, they all of them wanted one thing. They all wanted a deal. They wanted a new trade agreement, a reset, a way to escape the pressure that Trump had applied with surgical precision. So, and we keep seeing the pattern unfold. These are the same countries that mocked us. They lectured us. They hollowed out our industrial base for decades. And so now they're lining up outside of President Trump's office with their hats in their hand, asking for a second chance. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious at this point, and they should feel humiliated as well. But it's just basic math. It's economics, right? And while they panic, China is in full-blown damage control mode, right? Now, we've all known the truth for years. China hasn't just been a competitor. They've been engaged in economic warfare, okay? So let me be very frank with you guys. This was not just about cheap goods. It was about flooding our markets to shut down U.S. factories. And they knew what they were doing. Manipulating currency to gain unfair advantage, forcing American companies to hand over their intellectual property just to do business in China. You freaking kidding me? And while they've built a digital police state, crushed dissident and spied on the world, including us, and for some reason, our so-called leaders just let it happen. Obama, Biden, George W. Bush, Clinton, they all looked the other way while China slowly bought up our land. They slowly bought up our ports, our tech, even our politicians. Trump, I don't think Trump can be bought, honestly. Trump ended up just flipping the table on those guys. The trade war isn't just about economics. It's about reclaiming our independence. And of course, we gotta talk about what someone who actually benefits from these tariffs said firsthand. The president of the UAW, the president of the United Auto Workers, he laid out how President Trump's strategy is actually bringing jobs and factories back to the United States. Now, you don't want to miss what he says about NAFTA, Ross Perot, and the giant sucking sound that gutted America's working class. Ladies and gentlemen, this next part, it gets personal real quick. But first, real quick, if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, stress the freak out. If you see what's coming and you want to be prepared, I built something just for you. Stop Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck right now walks you through exactly how to gain financial control real fast. So if you want support, mentorship, and a community that isn't afraid of what's next, hit me up in the links in the description down below. You can join us in the financial freedom community, or you can join us in the Liberty Pursuit Network. You don't have to face this alone. We're building something strong, and I want you to be a part of it. Links in the description down below, guys. So now look, it's one thing for economists or pundits to talk about trade deals and policy shifts. But when the president of the United Auto Workers comes out and says Trump's tariffs are making companies reinvest in America, that's when you know it's real. He said it very clearly. When it comes to autos, heavy trucks, agricultural equipment, we know that tariffs work. They make companies rethink offshoring and bring production back to American soil. Let that sink in for a moment. American manufacturing, the heartbeat of our economy, is waking up again. And it's not because politicians held some press conference or they made some empty promises. It's because President Trump finally made it too painful to keep ignoring American workers. And here's where it gets a little bit deeper. The UAW president, he brought up a name that we really haven't heard in a long while. His name is Ross Perot. Some of you guys may remember him. Back in 1992, Ross Perot warned about NAFTA. Remember that phrase, the giant sucking sound? That was the sound of American jobs leaving for Mexico, China, and everywhere else that could exploit cheap labor and zero regulation. So the UAW president flat out said, hey, Ross Perot has become a prophet, because ever since NAFTA's inception back in 1993, we've lost, over 90,000 U.S. manufacturing facilities, millions of solid, good-paying jobs. These weren't disposable fast food gigs paying $8 an hour. These were careers, guys, jobs with benefits, pensions, dignity. When's the last time you even heard the word pension? When's the last time you've seen a job offering a pension? That's a better question for you. If you have not seen a job offering a pension in the last 5 or 10 years, just drop a 1 in the comments. Now, if you have seen a job or a company offering a pension in the last 10 years, drop a 2 in the comments. I want to see what you guys are seeing out there. But what we've also seen is jobs that built the middle class, that put kids through college and allowed families to buy homes, shipped overseas, gone. And we just watched them vanish while our leaders smiled and they called it progress. That's the progressive left trying to convince us something. Now, let me tell you something. None of that was progress. That was just a slow motion demolition of American prosperity, and we watched it, and every one of us felt it. Now we're in a situation where how many people have to work more than one job just to keep their neck above water? You see what I'm saying here? But here's the difference now. Trump is the first president to actually reverse that trend. And he's not just talking about bringing jobs back. He's weaponizing policy to make it happen. And of course, we need to break down Stephen Miller's master plan, how Trump's team is unleashing deregulation, clean coal, and pro-growth tax reforms to make America the most attractive place on earth for investment and expansion, guys. So we're also going to expose how the globalists sold out the American worker, why Trump's radical success formula is terrifying the elites from Brussels to Beijing. So stick with me, guys, because this next part really reveals exactly how Trump plans to dominate the economic future. Now, of course, we need to get into the engine room of this whole economic revival, because what Stephen Miller laid out is it's more than just a few reforms. In fact, it's a full blueprint to crush the globalist elite, the globalist economy, and to bring America roaring back to life. So let's quickly walk through this. Number one, or I should say probably in the order of operations, they're going to look at it like step one, deregulation. America's been buried under red tape for decades. crippling small businesses, stopping energy projects, making it nearly impossible for companies to grow. And so Trump said, hey, enough. And he started cutting through the nonsense, slashing these job-killing regulations and clearing the path for real growth. Step two, American energy dominance. We've heard about this before, but while Democrats worship windmills and foreign oil, Trump is unleashing trillions of dollars in clean coal, natural gas, and U.S. oil. The goal? The goal is to make energy so affordable and so abundant that America becomes the cheapest place on earth to manufacture. Step three, tax reform. So Miller said it loud and clear. Trump's tax policy is designed to make America the world's #1 place to invest, build, hire, and grow. This is not theory. It's already happening, and we're seeing evidence of it. Factories are coming back. Supply chains are being restructured, and the elites, they're losing control. This is what we mean when we say America first. No, and so now let's contrast this with what we've seen in the past 30 years from the globalists, right? They told us it was more efficient to ship jobs to China. They said we would save money by outsourcing our critical industries. They promised prosperity and delivered dependency, right? Well, let me ask you, where did all that efficiency go when COVID hit and we couldn't get medicine? We couldn't get masks or microchips. We were begging like a weak country. We were begging for supplies that we used to make here in America, but we stopped making them. So then we had to beg some other country to ship us some stuff that they're making that we no longer make. Globalism did not lift America up. It ended up bleeding us dry. And what did we get in return? An opioid epidemic. We got rusting towns. We got skyrocketing inequity. And let's not forget a middle class that's been gasping for air. And now I think the tide's turning. Trump's America First doctrine, it's not just a slogan, it's a bulldozer, guys. And it's plowing straight through the fake promises of the past in order to build real opportunity for real Americans. So, of course, we also got to head south to the Panama Canal. So this is where President Trump's team is executing one of the boldest geopolitical chess moves in modern history. So you're not going to believe what China was trying to do in our own backyard and how Trump just shut it down cold. This next part, guys, it's about our military strategy, shipping lanes, and blocking the Chinese Communist Party from taking over critical territory. Do not go anywhere, guys. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you right now, it didn't make the front page, even though it should have. While the mainstream media was obsessing over TikTok hearings and diversity pledges, President Trump was quietly taking back control of one of the most strategic locations on planet Earth. You might have heard of the Panama Canal. Well, that's right, guys. China had crept into our own hemisphere right under our noses. They were slowly gaining influence over the canal, a critical global checkpoint that handles nearly 40% of U.S.-bound shipping. If a major conflict broke out, China could have blocked our own military from using the canal. Previous administrations, they let it happen. They were asleep at the wheel. But Trump, he went ahead and slammed the brakes. He threw the CCP right out of the driver's seat. And so here's what his team did. They reopened Fort Sherman. This is a strategic U.S. military base near the canal. They signed two very historic agreements, giving our military vessels first and free access through the canal. And they formed a very tight alliance with Panama's President Molino, a very proud pro-America, anti-communist leader who's standing up to Chinese pressure. And let's be honest, guys, this is not just about shipping routes. It's about survival. Because think about it. China's playbook isn't just about tariffs and trade. It's about total control. Let me show you what I mean. Across Latin America, Africa, and even parts of Europe. The CCP is building surveillance infrastructure. They're infiltrating political systems. They're offering debt trap loans to install their influence over poor nations and installing facial recognition cameras tied to their own internal AI systems. They're trying to export the Chinese surveillance state worldwide. That's what they're trying to do. This is not, some people will say, oh, you're just paranoid. This is not paranoia. This is a documented agenda. They don't want just dominance. They want compliance. And if they can get control of key trade routes and puppet governments, they can spy, they could monitor, they could censor, they can shut down anybody who resists. But with Trump, I think it's simple. Not on our watch. President Trump's doing something that no one else dared to do because basically he's building a wall of resistance against Chinese expansion, not just in trade, but in military, surveillance, and ideological warfare. This is why the elites hate him. This is why the CCP fears him. And this is why the American people are starting to realize just how dangerous the alternative really is. Now, if this stuff feels big, guys, it's because it is. We're in the middle of a global economic reset, and if you're not positioned right, it's easy to get swept under. Now, if you're tired of worried about your future, if you're done living paycheck to paycheck while governments and corporations play chess with your life, I encourage you to take action. Now, I built a course. Stop living paycheck to paycheck right now. Hit the link in the description down below, guys, because you deserve to be in control of your money, your opportunities, and your freedom. Break free of this rat race nonsense. So I'm inviting you to join our private group, and you can also join us over in the Liberty Pursuit Network as well. It's a place for like-minded patriots who are building wealth, independence, and resilience together. Now, you don't have to do this alone. We are building a network. We're building a shield, a movement. Join us over there. Links in the description down below. Don't wait for another wake-up call, guys. Now, of course, I want to kind of wrap this up with a hard truth. How past administrations have ultimately failed me and you. How Trump really flipped the script here. And why America First isn't just a slogan. This is a revolution that we're watching. We're watching history being made right now. So stick with me because we're almost there. Let's make something crystal clear here. Everything we've just talked about, the China panic, the Panama Canal win, manufacturing revival, the 130 countries crawling back for trade deals, none of that was an accident. This was the result of a very calculated man doing what no other president had the guts or the balls to do. You see, for decades and decades, our so-called leaders, they let the country just get ripped off, get sold out, hollowed out. They smiled while China took our factories. I don't see anything funny about that. They clapped while NAFTA gutted the working class. They sent billions in foreign aid while our own veterans slept on the streets. What? Bush did it. Obama did it. Biden is still doing it. Well, he was still doing it. They all folded to global pressure. And Trump, he flipped the script. He stepped into the Oval Office and said, hey, look, we're not doing this anymore. America comes first, not China, not Davos, Switzerland, and the WEF, not the UN, America. And look what happened. Countries that used to laugh at us, they're now begging. A communist superpower like China, they backed into a corner. American workers finally starting to get a seat at the table again. So this is the power of bold leadership, guys. This is what happens when you put truth over politics and strength over surrender. And let me tell you something loud and clear for everyone who's watching the show right now. By the way, if you're just now joining live, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. If you feel like the system has been rigged against you, if you feel like you've been busting your hump only to fall further behind, you're not imagining it. You've been living under the effects of a globalist incompetence your entire adult life. Good news is that era is ending. And we're finally witnessing the rise of American doctrine. Not woke, not weak, not ruled by foreign interests or Wall Street bureaucrats. This is America first, guys. It's a freight train, economic strength, national pride, real sovereignty. That's the movement. That's the mission. And that's what we're building right here, right now. So whether you're in your 30s, just trying to get ahead, if you're in your 50s, trying to save for your future, or maybe you're retired and watching the country you love drift away, the time to start is now. To rise, to rebuild, to get your house in order and get in the fight. So again, if you're done living in fear, if you want to break out of living paycheck to paycheck, that trap, and build real independence, hit us up in the links down below, guys. Feel free to join us over the Liberty Pursuit Network, private group of Americans who are not waiting for some bailout. We're building our own lifeboat. This is your moment. The system failed. I get it, but you don't have to. So anyway, I want to appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, drop me a comment, subscribe if you're fired up. I'll see you on the next one.